The Committee on Homeland Security Subcommittee on Oversight, Investigations, and Accountability will come to order.
On May 16, 2024, I was privileged to testify before the House Homeland Security Committee. We were in the midst of a somewhat nerve-wracking surge of illegal border crossings by Chinese nationals that had to be explained. I'd met Chinese on the migrant trails down in Mexico, so this was my fourth time to testify before Congress, and I was somewhat familiar with the procedure. It all starts off with a solemn oath, and then a 5-minute oral summation of a longer written testimony that is submitted and published. And here's how it all went.
Witnesses, please rise and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give before the Committee on Homeland Security of the United States House of Representatives will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record reflect that the witnesses have answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You may be seated.
The committee chairman introduces each of the witnesses and then gives each a chance to present their 5-minute oral testimony. And here's mine.
Mr. Todd Bensman is an author and journalist currently serving as Senior National Security Fellow at the Center for Immigration Studies.
Hi, thank you for the privilege of having me here today. As I speak with you at this minute, Chinese nationals are illegally crossing our southwest border in historic numbers and preparing for their second crime, asylum fraud. They disfigure and toss their passports, like this one, because the stamps inside prove their holders passed through safe countries that would have granted protection. That would disqualify them for U.S. asylum. Likewise, they discard Mexican residency cards like these all over the U.S. side and the Mexican side, which the Mexicans require for them to move north because they show that Mexico already granted them protection, which is another disqualifier for asylum. A record-smashing 50,000 Chinese nationals have crossed the southern border since Biden entered office and stood up policies that mainline them into interior America within 48 hours. The Chinese people responded predictably to this unprecedented invitation. At current escalating rates, their numbers should hit 100,000 by 2024's end. All of China knows they'll be freed on personal recognizance for years and likely remain permanently. This administration tolerates mass illegal entry and asylum fraud, but we're here today because the administration seems equally accommodating to a direct national security threat this human flow poses. That would be China's relentless economic and political espionage campaigns, thievery of cutting-edge defense technologies and dissident suppression operations against our citizens and legal residents. To be sure, most of those 50,000 Chinese nationals are merely coming to work and enjoy America's famed lifestyle. But there can be little doubt that Beijing's spy masters also noticed right away when a welcome wagon greeted the first of its 50,000 citizens that America's new president had just opened a new superhighway over the U.S. southwest border, tailor-built to carry intelligence operatives. U.S. counterintelligence agencies must assume Beijing is already injecting agents into this flow. Recent spy prosecutions in the U.S. and public intelligence community assessments tell us this threat is not speculative. The prosecutions revealed that young 20-something agents got in by exploiting U.S. student and cultural exchange visas. They heisted our secrets from inside elite U.S. universities, research institutes, and corporations. It follows that the prosecutions put heat on legal visa abuses and drove up the risk of detection to China. Just when Beijing needed an alternative way to get its operatives in, the Biden government handed China the golden ticket. Warm greetings at the border and rapid releases with almost no questions asked. The U.S. intelligence community's own assessments tell us what's in store. China will remain the most aggressive espionage actor on U.S. soil and has big plans. Biden's own 2024 DHS threat assessment predicts much more than rapacious economic espionage. It says the CCP operatives will hunt down dissidents in America and will use, quote, physical assault, threats, harassment, defamation, and kidnapping out of country, read rendition, to, quote, suppress oppositional voices. Almost unbelievably, Beijing already has established inside the U.S. what the DHS assessment calls, quote, unsanctioned police stations, from which CCP operatives surveil and harass dissidents. And about those 50,000 non-spy economic migrants, can they all be regarded as entirely benevolent, asylum fraud aside? They're fodder for coerced recruitment by China. Office of Director of National Intelligence Assessments 2023 and 2024 say China is going to, quote, pressure families back home to recruit Chinese abroad as informants and operatives. As if quick releases after border crossings were not golden ticket enough, the Biden administration gifted the Chinese intelligence an especially sparkling new policy. Washington ordered Border Patrol to reduce the number of interview questions for incoming Chinese nationals from 40 to just 5, the Daily Caller has reported. Why? To move them into the country even faster, including those who tossed their identity documents and might as well have given their names as Mickey Mouse. Reporting indicates they've all learned to easily defeat the 5 questions and be shown the entrance door to America, which makes them all strangers, just the way Beijing's spy masters want it. Thank you.
Members of the committee will then ask questions of the various expert witnesses. Here are a few select excerpts of mine.
Let me get to Mr. Bensman before we get done. How about that, Mr. Bensman? If I'm hearing from the ranking member and professor-oriented ideas, we really shouldn't say anything about this because it's going to be discriminatory. What about that? Why isn't that true? Or if it is true, what do you say about it?
The U.S. Homeland Security enterprise, especially in dealing with the border, has for decades isolated particular nationalities based on our relations with their governments. For example, Iran. When we have immigrants from Iran hit the border, we will set them aside and bring in FBI and CIA and others to interview them to try to figure out, what they're about. Are they good? Are they fleeing the regime, or are they part of the regime? Are they a terrorist actor? North Koreans that hit the border. I mean, everybody can understand why a North Korean would want to leave North Korea, but we also know North Korea is a source of mischief all over the world, and they're sending their representatives. So we do separate certain nationalities as a matter of routine from all of the Middle Eastern countries, and it just depends on, but China most certainly we did all the way up until about last year.
Let me just file this last question with maybe Mr. Bensman. I always hear from the Secretary of Homeland Security we have a global eruption of migration that accounts for all this. I don't, other than the possibility that I'm not aware of any major change in China that would account for this sudden explosion of Chinese illegal migrants. And there's a lot of government, totalitarian control in that country, even in terms of people leaving the country. So is there something I'm missing? Is there some, chaos that's erupted in China that would account for this sudden change?
I spend a lot of time with the immigrants. I've interviewed thousands of them. I've met Chinese. I can never get the Chinese to talk to me. I have an interpretation app, which is difficult anyway, but I don't think that they would want to talk to me. But what I gather from my interviews with many thousands of immigrants on their way here is that they're coming now because all their friends got in, all their relatives just got in. The border's open. We're going for it. Well, like, what if the Americans change their minds all of a sudden? And so there's this big rush on. And I have to say that The Chinese are probably no different. They're going to be looking for lifestyle upgrades. A lot of the Chinese that I meet on the trail seem very well resourced, very well put together. They don't seem like they're starving peasants. They often spend tens of thousands of dollars to make the journey. It's an opportunity for them. Now, the economy in China is not, as robust as it has been, but they can get in now.
Thank you, Mr. Bensman. Hearing is adjourned.